Greetings, Cap fans. Welcome to episode 255 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. Hey, I'm Rick Verbanis, and you know me. I'm your host. And I've got a co-host. You know him. It's Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, do you want to build a snowman?
Wow. All right. Well, I got that movie. I know that one.
Yeah, what's the movie?
Yeah. And I do love Olaf. Frozen, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. What in the world does that have to do with today's
I
episode,
don't know.
Bob?
You got me, man. You
Uh,
got me.
who who said those words?
Uh, that was that Princess Anna?
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. Princess Anna. I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Well,
I
all right. Let's
got it.
hear it. Let's hear it.
Because the first appearance of Anna Kapplebaum.
Yeah, we got the first
Right.
appearance of Anna in Captain America's life, who becomes a pretty important character, I think, in Steve Rogers' uh, you know uh, personal life, right?
Yeah.
And we
Right.
get to hear Anna's story in this comic today that we're covering. And the other thing too that I thought was relevant was that Elsa. I mean, that whole "Do you want to build a snowman?" is Anna in the movie Frozen on one side of the door.
Yeah.
On the other side of the door was her sister Elsa,
Right.
who Elsa had basically secluded herself, right? That
Right.
she was going through a dark time, and she really isolated herself. She felt like even after her parents' deaths, that there was this like emotional distance, and I thought that was a little relevant to Steve Rogers in this story.
Yeah. Wow. I've never heard anybody compare Steve Rogers to a Disney princess, but why not?
Well, Bob, after 255 episodes, I gotta find new
He's
ways.
gonna do, yeah, really plumb the depths. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great though. You're right. You're right. I love
yeah.
it.
Bob, it is August 27th. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it is getting close to the end of the summer. Boo! I don't know about you, but I'm not happy.
You're not. I know
No,
because you know what's coming, right?
cold
We
weather.
Yeah, we are August 27th. We are in the heart of hurricane season here in Southwest Florida,
Okay.
in the Southern Florida Peninsula. And so hopefully I'm still here when this airs. But I was watching the news this morning and they were like, get your gas cans filled, get your water jugs, get your food, your cat food, not for me, but I mean for the cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Don't
get
forget the vodka. We've been through
vodka.
this.
You got to stock up on all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that reminder because like 90% of the hurricanes happen in August and September.
Fingers crossed that
Right.
you'll make it through and yet another hurricane season with no reason to be upset.
Yes, let's hope so. Yes.
All right. Also on August 27th, if you uh, know anything about birthdays today, there is a famous comic book creator by the name of Don Perlin,
Tom Perlin.
who was born on this date, and he unfortunately, he did pass, but he was born on August 27th in back in 1929, and you probably know him mostly from his days in Marvel. He was involved with the character Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, The Defenders, Ghost Rider, and then in the 1990s, he worked for Valiant Comics when they launched, and he was both an artist and an editor. And he was the co-founder of the character Bloodshot for Valiant Comics. I had a chance to meet him in the early '90s when I had my first comic book store, and I was at a convention that Diamond Distributors, comic distributors, had sponsored, and I got a chance to meet him and get a Bloodshot #1 signed. Very very nice gentleman, very
Yeah.
quiet, soft spoken.
Mhm.
Was very, very nice, very thoughtful. And then our listeners today know him from being the inker of today's issue.
And a great issue it is, Rick.
Maybe we'll just jump right into today's issue. It is a, we were going through like what story should we do for this today's episode, and we were brainstorming on this, and I was like, we haven't really done a 1970s comic for Cap outside of the Steve Englehart runs that we've been doing, right? Which
Right.
was,
Yeah.
the Secret Empire. And then we went from that into the Nomad story we're doing. So we're doing a 1970s story every month, 1973, 1974. But it was like, when are we going to do something different? And the last time we did something different in the 1970s, guess when it was, Bob?
Uh, I can't recall, Rick.
January of 2024.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's a
like a
year
year
and
and
a
a
half ago.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we were well overdue. So I asked you for any suggestions, and you came up with, of course, this one, and then I'm like, of course he did. It's a World War II story.
You're so right. You know me so well,
It's like, yeah, but it's like you don't know me.
Rick.
You know, I'm like, hey, let's get pick out a story. Yeah, I got this great one from the '70s. It's about World War II, Rick.
Yeah, I did. I have to admit, it did occur to me at the time as I was flipping through the issues, trying to find one.
Yeah. So let's get to this one. Do you want to take the listeners through the cover?
Yeah, I love this cover. I mean, tell me this cover is not striking, Rick. Right? I mean, we have Captain America on a motorcycle, and it looks like I don't know if I'm sure you keyed right in on this, but this looks like almost like an homage to Captain America Comics number 37, which was a Schomburg cover, except that one had Cap and Bucky on the motorcycle. But we see Cap here on this motorcycle, and he is outside. Could be a POW camp, could be whatever concentration camp, could be something like that. But it's clearly a Nazi facility with a guard tower in the back with a machine gun on it, shooting at Cap, but it's hitting him in the shield, which is hanging off his back. And in the foreground, we see Cap jumping over a bunch of Nazis, right? There's like four of them on the ground, and they're shooting up at him as he's jumping into this scrum. It is an amazing action packed cover. Love it.
Yeah, the cover is by Keith Pollard, who's a very underrated artist. He's done several covers, and several for Captain America. I find it interesting though. You say Nazi, but I'm not seeing Nazi symbols anywhere on the cover.
Well, I mean, it's those are definitely World War II German uniforms. So
They are,
yeah,
yes, yeah. Mm.
and even got that Colonel Klink there on the ground with his monocle.
Mm.
We're a Hogan's Heroes fan, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've
Right?
been
Remember
through
that?
this.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Stalag
That's
13,
that's
right?
where
Was
I
it?
learned my German.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
very, very sort of misnomer that Stalag, right, was a German POW camp for enlisted personnel. But did you know that they had different ones for officers?
I did not.
Those were
Hmm.
known as Auflags. So they actually house the officers and the enlisted in different prisoner of war camps.
Why do you think that was?
Um, well, it was probably easy. First of all, the officers got better treatment, better living conditions, better treatment, right, than the enlisted did. But the enlisted were often put to work, whereas the officers weren't. So,
Yeah, but why? Why would they offer that um, benefit?
well, I think it's just their military culture, right? I mean, we wouldn't do that, right? We just house them all together, and everybody gets treated the same because that's sort of the American
Hmm.
value system. But in the German, particularly the Prussian system that it was based on, the hierarchy between the officers and the enlisted were quite
And
quite
and
different.
what was the highest rank of the enlisted then?
Well, it could have gone anywhere up to command sergeant major. I don't know what the highest ranking enlisted American POW was, for instance, but certainly somebody had been in for 20 years, 25 years.
And then what? Because I'm trying to understand, right? So, the what's considered an officer, lieutenant and up?
Yeah, second lieutenant up through general, right?
Okay.
So a second lieutenant who's got a year under their belt is an officer, but guys got 20, 25 years under their belt as an enlisted. Of course, he'd be a senior non-commissioned officer, but that's still really in the enlisted ranks as far as the Germans were concerned. They'd all be housed together.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think
Also
of that every
on.
time I watch Hogan's Heroes.
Do you now?
I do.
Hmm. Yeah, as a kid growing up in the 70s and watching the reruns of Hogan's Heroes, I didn't understand war. I didn't understand POW camps. I didn't understand
Uh-huh.
how evil Nazis were. Not that
Right.
these were Nazis, because I mean these were German soldiers, and then you had the SS that would come in, and then the SS
Gestapo.
were
Right.
much worse, and so on. And but anyway, I didn't understand all that. And I get and quite frankly, this was what 25 years after the end of World War II, or maybe even
Right.
less,
Yeah.
right? So the wounds were still there,
They
and
were. Yeah.
and so it was. I get why, because I read about this afterwards. Why some people just thought it was really poor taste,
Right.
right? Because it was making light of the treatment of the soldiers in those POW camps. Not to get all dark and everything, but
No, no,
you
but
know,
they weren't. There were. I mean, there weren't a lot of Schultzes around.
no, no, yeah,
I
exactly.
know nothing.
Colonel Hogan, please.
Yeah, I still watch Hogan's Heroes. I love it. I watch that nostalgia channel. So
Mm. I used to like during the credits, like I mean, because it's a catchy tune. And then I used to know like, all the actors' names, by, Robert Cleary,
hmm yeah,
and then you had Richard Dawson. And I was like, hey, that's the Family Feud guy.
that's right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good
Hey,
stuff.
speaking of the Family Feud, Richard Dawson, did you see the previews for the new Running Man movie?
I have not.
Did you see the original with Arnold
Of
Schwarzenegger and
course. Yeah.
and him,
Yeah.
Richard Dawson?
Yeah.
Um, they're making, I guess, they're rebooting it or making a like a
They are. I heard that. Yeah.
yeah. I saw the previews of it,
Yeah.
and it looks cool.
Does it?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. I like the actor who's in the main role, but I couldn't tell you his name
It's
right now.
Glenn something, right? He's been in everything now. Top Gun. Wasn't he in Top Gun?
Yeah, he played
Fighter
a
pilot.
hitman, a pretend hitman. He worked for like I don't know the FBI or something, and he would just wear all these different disguises and pretend to be hitmen, and it was a really that was a really good movie. I
Yeah.
enjoyed him in that.
Mm.
Anyway,
All right.
getting back to the cover here, Bob.
Mm,
It happened at Diebenwald. Now, Diebenwald is a fictional,
it is.
fictional base. But up in the top left corner, in the corner box, we have the Jack Kirby logo of Captain America, because that's still left over from when he came back for his,
hmm
second term as artist and writer of Captain America series around the bicentennial. And then 40 cents, Bob. 47 gets
40
40 cents.
cents.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Little teaser on the cover, Rick. Little
What's it
teaser.
say?
It
What's it
says,
say?
plus the tragic fate of Sharon Carter.
Yes. Um, so we open up and we see here uh, uh, this giant splash of Captain America at a podium with several microphones and people standing behind him, reporters in front of him with their cameras, with their notepads, and he's there to give his story. But behind him, is a screen of Captain America. Instead of holding his normal shield that we all know and love, it has been painted with a swastika and then flames around it, and he's in anger, and then there's fire behind him. So, Bob, before we get into today's story, maybe you can give the listeners a little bit of a recap of what led up to this scene that we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it follows on the heels of the National Force storyline. So that covered, I think it was issues 231 to 236, which was the issue that came right before the one we're covering tonight. And in this one, we had, of course, Dr. Faustus, that crazy psychiatrist. And he had this plan to enslave the population using this hypnotic mind altering gas, right? And so he managed to pull in our 1950s Cap, who reappeared, William Burnside, and he was transformed into the Grand Director. So Faustus operating behind the scenes, got Grand Director running this national force, sort of a extreme right-wing paramilitary sort of aligned with the Nazis, neo-Nazis, and KKK sort of thing. And people are acting weird, right? And so Sharon Carter, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., gets involved in this, and she gets hit with the mind-altering gas. And so she's joined alongside the Grand Director as part of this scheme. And at some point in this, Cap also gets affected by this mind-altering gas and says some
Mm-hmm.
things that, well, let's just say aren't quite what you would expect Captain America to say. And ultimately, Daredevil shows up, helps him break free of this, the grasp of this hypnotic gas. They both manage to put down Faustus. And in the process, the Grand Director basically self immolates himself. But so does apparently. Well, should I get into that, right? I guess.
No, I guess
No,
not. No,
no,
we'll
let's not.
yeah, we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
So we're at now, everything's been wrapped up. They've got Dr. Faustus all bottled up and put away. The Grand Director's gone. And now Cap is in front of the public trying to explain what he said and did.
Mm. All right, and the creators for this particular story, um, the plot is by Chris Claremont of X-Men fame. The script is by Roger McKenzie, and then the art is Sal Buscema and Don Perlin. Now, it's basically it just says art, but if you look elsewhere, it might say penciler Sal Buscema and inker Don Perlin. But frankly, knowing Sal's art and knowing Don's art, I think Sal just did some light layouts and Don did finishes because there's a real heavy influence of Don Perlin here. And then the letterer is Elaine Heil, colorist George Roussos, and editor is Roger Stern, who, by the way, should be the upcoming writer for this series in about another year. And the title to this story is Bob.
From the ashes.
So, getting back to this scene, the reporters start asking Cap questions.
A Senate subcommittee on subversive activities is slated to begin investigation of the National Force later this week. If subpoenaed, Captain, will you testify?
I'll do whatever necessary to clear my name of any connection with that group.
The American Nazi Party and Ku Klux Klan are threatening to bring suit against you, claiming you violated the National Force's constitutional right of free speech and lawful assembly. Any comment on that?
I believe my record speaks for itself, but I will say this. The Constitution upholds everyone's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It does not condone arson, kidnapping, terrorism, or murder. Neither do I. Any statements I might have made to the contrary were due to Dr. Faustus's mind gas. And then we see in the audience, one of the reporters there is actually Peter Parker with his camera, and he thinks to himself, Cap looks exhausted. I know exactly how he feels.
Captain, our country is not at war. For better or worse, we have even abolished the draft. Do you feel perhaps that you've outlived your usefulness as a symbol of America's fighting spirit?
Outlived my usefulness? To be perfectly honest, I don't know. Now, if there are no further questions, and he walks away from the podium.
Cap, wait, does this actually mean you're considering retiring? If so, what are your plans for the future? What will you do? Where will you go?
No comment. Cap, my name's Katie Burns, and I'm with CBS News. I must talk to you. I don't mean to be rude, but listen to me, please. It's important. I believe I know what happened to Sharon Carter. Sharon? At the mention of the woman he loves, a troubled Captain America does listen. Sharon had been an unwitting pawn of the national force. Now he isn't even sure if she's alive or dead. My film crew was in Harlem the night you first fought the national force. We shot some footage I think you better see. And as they reach the young newswoman's mobile van, she opens up the back doors, and inside is the crew on their devices. Frank, key the videotape of the Harlem riot on monitor 2. Right. This takes place shortly after the capture of several National Force members were unexpectedly, tragically, they committed mass suicide. Conditions being what they were, the quality of this film isn't very good, so I can't be absolutely sure, but, well, look for yourself. And Cap looks at the monitor and he thinks, oh no. And what do we see, Bob?
Well, it looks an awful lot like Sharon Carter dressed in the garb of the National Force, swastika and all on her armband. And it looks like she's on fire, Rick.
And it also looks like she's screaming out pain. And so at this point, the art goes back and forth. It's up close of Cap and then what he's looking at, which is an up close face of Sharon yelling out in pain. And it goes back and forth. Could could you run that again, please? Of course. There. Freeze that frame. It's her, isn't it? Katie, we'll wait outside. Yes. And he puts his fingers on the screen on her face, and tears come to Cap's eyes. And then he puts his head in his right hand and lowers his face. And he says, it's Sharon. 1 week later, in
Hold on, Rick.
Manhattan's.
Before you move on, I just want to point out that tour de force performance by Katie Burns. Now you know why I recruited her on my Cap fantasy draft.
Oh, yes. She was excellent.
Yeah, she was. So
Yeah, now I get it. All right. So, next page, 1 week later in Manhattan's Yorkville section. And I think I missed that the first time I read this, but it's been a week. And the Falcon is flying over the streets. It's about time I looked in on Cap. I haven't heard from him in days. I hope he's all right. And he gets to Steve's window of his apartment. What the devil? His apartment's empty, stripped clean to the walls. A few seconds later, in the lobby of the shabby old building, his name's been taken off his mailbox, too. He's gone. Maybe one of his neighbors could tell me where he went. Then he knocks on a door, and somebody behind the chain opens up just a few inches. Steve Rogers? What makes you think I know anything about him? Go on. Get out of here. Leave me alone. Okay, mister. Take it easy. I'm going. And Falcon flies off. What a grouch. I could see why Cap left. Still, it's not like him to just take off without telling anyone. I better check this out. Soon afterwards, at Avengers Mansion, I'm telling you, it's as if Cap had dropped off the face of the earth. The police haven't seen him, and while I couldn't get a straight answer out of S.H.I.E.L.D., they did tell me that Sharon Carter died in last week's rioting. And in the room with him is the blue furry beast, Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and or Miss Marvel, and Vision, the android. And Wasp says, "Oh no!" But Carol questions Sharon Carter, a close friend of Cap's, Miss Marvel. This does sound serious, Falcon. The Avengers will start searching for a Cap at once. But who walks in, Bob?
Oh my God, it's Steve Rogers in a amazing tweed sport coat.
I would say even more than that, right? I mean, he's got a dress shirt and tie and a vest.
Yeah, he's definitely sporting the vest, so he's taking it seriously.
What's he carrying?
He looks like he's got an artist portfolio, Rick.
Oh, well, we know it's in that. That's the Captain America shield, right?
Probably,
Yeah.
probably.
That won't be necessary, Vision. I found him for you. What? Cap? Steve, we heard. We're sorry. It's all right, Falcon. Hope I didn't worry anyone too much. I just needed a little time alone to myself to sort things out. And now that I have, I'm ready to return to active duty, as it were. But Steve, your apartment, I thought that place was part of my past, Falk, and it didn't have room enough for both Captain America and Steve Rogers. If you need me, you can reach me at this address. And he hands him a business card. Bob, what's it say?
It does. It says Steve Rogers, commercial artist, and it has his new address and phone number, which I can assure you, Rick, does not work.
I was wondering about that, right? Like
I
I
called
want,
today.
yeah, and those 555 numbers,
555s, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if it didn't work then, and then at some point it did.
I wondered that too. I thought I'd give it a shot today, and I did, but it couldn't go through.
Oh, okay. Next page, later that evening, we see Steve Rogers walking up to his new address, which is 569 Lehman Place in Brooklyn Heights, New York. And so this is a first. And it's a building that he will be in for several years in the Captain America story. And it's nighttime. Well, here it is, my new apartment and the beginning of a whole new way of life. I haven't been this nervous since I volunteered for Project Rebirth and became Captain America. But I've done a lot of thinking the past few days, and I think it's about time I stop hiding behind a blue and white mask. And maybe, just maybe, I'll even settle down one of these days. Marry, raise a family, one of these days. And then what happens, Bob?
Well, as he's going in the front door, now he's gone up the steps, he's going through the front door. A individual comes running out past him, almost knocking him over.
And who is it?
It's Mike Farrell.
Yeah, it's the introduction of Mike Farrell. Now we don't know that in this issue because is just making a cameo and they don't tell his name. But yeah, it's Mike Farrell. And Steve says, I don't know if this is ironically, but he says, "Careful, son. Where's the fire?" "Sorry, mister. Can't talk now. Gotta run."
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit funny because right on Mike's shirt it says FDNY, right?
Yeah, yeah. You'd think Steve would have noticed that, or do you think Steve was just being literal?
He might have been literal. Sometimes yeah, I think he might have been being literal.
So Steve's climbing the stairs to his apartment. That's all right. No harm done. I know what it's like to run. I've been running from myself for years. It's always been so easy, so natural to face life as Captain America, and so very hard to be myself. I've never really given Steve Rogers a chance. From now on, though, things are going to be different. I know who I am now, and I know what's expected of me as both a living legend and a man. And can you describe Steve's new digs?
Yeah, well, it's it's definitely a top floor apartment, Rick, because it's got
A skylight.
it's got a skylight, right? Yeah, it's kind of minimalist. He's got a little seating area with a couch, and he's got a little kitchen table and the eating area. And you can see he's got his art easel right there in the middle of the living space. So and it's kind of messy, Rick, which is not something you necessarily associate with Steve Rogers, a guy with that level of discipline, right? Particularly a
Mm-hmm.
former soldier, but also, I mean, he's Captain America. I
Mm-hmm.
guess maybe not having Jarvis.
Yeah. Well, he is an artist, so he's got his papers everywhere,
Yeah,
drawing papers.
and he's
Question.
been mourning,
Yeah,
right? So
that's true. And what's the apartment number?
it is a 4A, Rick,
So that means he's on the fourth floor.
fourth floor.
You think?
It makes sense.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I'm looking at the building and it's a three-story building
Oh,
on page 11.
well, maybe it counts the basement apartments.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay,
those
we'll go with
apartments
that.
where you got the little window where you got to look up at the sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
You
it's
mean
got
like the
that.
basement I'm in right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Half an hour later, and we see Steve with his sleeves rolled up, but he's got the big old mitten on his hand. He's reaching into that oven. Ouch. Looks like I still got a few things to learn, especially about TV dinners. I bet my shield would taste better than this goop. Bob, what was your life experience with TV dinners?
Oh my God. I haven't had a TV dinner since I was like, I don't know, 22, 23, maybe. I
Mm-hmm.
had a few growing up, of course, and then out on my own for that first time, out in the big wide world. I might have eaten one or two TV dinners, but I haven't had one in ages. Do they still have them?
I think they do. It's been a while for me too. So I know in the 70s and 80s, I had my share of those because so growing up, um, I had to work on my dad's fishing boat.
Yeah.
And so we would travel 2 hours from northern Delaware to southern Delaware every weekend, spring through fall. And a lot of times my mom worked. So there were a lot of times, especially in the colder months, that my mom didn't go. And so my dad, was like, all right, let's go to the grocery store, pick out some TV dinners for tonight. And I'd get the
Yeah.
the Salisbury steak or
Oh
the,
yeah.
whatever with the tater tots.
Oh yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
extra
then,
salt.
of course the little apple crumble that was in that little portion, that
Yeah.
was like lava when you went to put it on your tongue. You're like, ah. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's good stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
But all of a sudden, somebody's walking through the door, and Steve's thinking to himself, "Oh well, bachelors can't be choosers, I guess." And who comes just walking in through the door?
Well, this is another one of his neighbors he'll be getting to know, a guy by the name of Josh Cooper.
Yeah. Hey, neighbor, anybody home? Yeah. Why don't you come on in? Name's Cooper, Joshua Cooper. Call me Josh. I saw the movers unload your gear a few days ago. Thought I'd drop by and see how everything was going. Glad to meet you, Josh. And he shakes his hand. I'm Steve Rogers. Things are going reasonably well, I suppose. Terrific. I couldn't help noticing, my man. You an artist? Something like that. Care for a drink? Just as long as it's got a kick to it. Try this, Josh. It'll make a new man out of you. Really? What is it? Goat's milk. A new man, huh? Well, here's to good friends. To America. And they cheer. Oh, I nearly forgot. The main reason I stopped, Mrs. Kapplebaum from downstairs invited me to dinner, and she wanted to know if you'd like to join us, if you're not busy. It's her way of saying hello to new tenants. I guess it's sort of a tradition with her. Josh, I've always believed in tradition, but I wouldn't want to impose. You're not, my man. Things are different here. We stick together. It's the only way to survive. So we turn the page, and a few minutes later, uh, Josh and Steve show up at Anna Kapplebaum's uh, apartment. Hi, Anna. Hope we're not late. You? Miss Supper? Young man, that'll be the day. Well, and Steve thinks to himself, Anna Kapplebaum. I can't place the name, but I know I've met her before. Somewhere. A long time ago. Hey, Bob. How would you
Yeah.
describe Mrs. Kapplebaum?
Well, she's obviously an older woman. So I'd
How
have
would
to,
you, when you say older woman, what does she
yeah.
look like to you?
Well, I'm guessing, she's meant to appear probably in her, she looks like she'd be in her 70s here, Rick, the
She
way
does, doesn't
they've
she?
drawn her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm going to give you a little secret, Bob.
Yeah.
I did the math.
Did you? Yeah, I'm afraid
Yeah.
that you did. She's not,
Uh,
is she? She's
no,
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 no.
no, no. She was born in 1926. So this comic came out in 1979.
Yeah.
Bob, she's 53.
Yeah. Right.
She's
Right.
younger than she's younger than us, Bob.
Right. Yeah. It's one of the things, right? Little tangent, if I could, Rick. Uh, I went, this obviously this comic came out in 1979. And between 1945 and 1979 was 34 years, right? That blows my mind even to think about that.
Oh yeah,
That had
yeah.
only been 3.5 decades, essentially, right? But from 1979 to 2013 was the same amount of time.
I know.
Doesn't that just
And that
like
was 12 years ago.
that was 12 years ago, right? So like when we were kids, man, like World War II was like barely in the rearview mirror, and that's just like hard for me to wrap my head around.
I know. I feel the same way. It's kind of like when we were I don't know, when we were I did this a couple years ago, and I'm going to get this wrong. So don't guys don't give me a hard time on this. But a few years ago, I remember doing the math, and it was like when I was 15, the honeymooners, the old Jackie
Yeah,
Gleason TV
yeah,
show,
yeah,
seemed ancient to me.
yeah.
And 15-year-olds today will feel the same way about Seinfeld.
No,
Isn't
yeah.
that
It
crazy?
is crazy. My son's now watching Friends. He started at season one and he's going all the way through Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, well, that was just a few years ago, dude.
Yeah, right. Hey, let me know when he gets to that season that actually has a black person.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's also my wife introduced him to this, and she, over dinner tonight, he's at work, and she's like, I'd forgotten how many inappropriate jokes were made, how many like sex related jokes were made on that show. So I'm like,
Yeah.
really? You think they had a whole episode today about Chandler seeing Rachel's boobies? And the whole
Uh-huh.
show is about that.
Or how about uh didn't Joey show himself naked to Monica
Oh,
and
I don't think I'm on that episode yet.
um
I couldn't
and
recall.
so like he's in the apartment, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Right? And she just kind of like is embarrassed and everything like that. Yeah. Yeah, try doing that in real life today.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know how old it is.
Yeah. Or on just also the bad influences we had, because it wasn't just shows like that. I mean, Married with Children,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about bad influences at a very influential age for
Right.
me,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, I guess that's how married couples act, and that's
That's
what
right.
teenagers, their kids do, and
Yeah. Social model that.
yeah, and the next door neighbor, with her and her husband, you're like, yeah, all right. Anyway. Steve and Josh are in Anna Kapplebaum's apartment, and anyway, she goes to shake Steve's hand. Anna, this is my friend Steve Rogers. He's an artiste. Is something wrong, Steve? Oh, my little souvenir of World War II. Please don't be embarrassed. I'm not. Diamondwald, wasn't it? Why, yes, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry. I don't mind, Steve. Strange. You almost remind me of someone I knew then. But that's impossible. That was so long ago. And the world, Germany, was so different in those days. I remember I was 12, and I believed my father when he said that good, hard-working Jews had nothing to fear from that little madman, Hitler. But then came November 9th, 1938. Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass. Those Nazis herded us into dark, crowded freight cars like we were cattle. They told us that, for our own protection, we would be taken to a distant work camp. For 3 days and nights, we rode those cramped, foul smelling trains without a scrap of food or a drop of water. And then we reached Diebenwald. And what do we see, Bob?
Well, we see the freight cars unloading all of the passengers, and we see German soldiers armed with rifles and whips, essentially herding them off, and billy clubs, herding them off the train and getting them moving.
Yeah. And these are nasty looking men. There, our welfare was put in the tender hands of the camp physicians. And so there she is with her brother and her dad and mom. And the camp physician that she was referring to says, "Hurry, Juden. I do not have all day." "Don't cry, Anna. At least we're together. We will always be together." I was 12, but I no longer believed my father. And I soon learned that Diebenwald was not a work camp like Auschwitz and Treblinka and so very many others. It was a death camp. Despite your crimes against humanity, der Führer is willing to allow you to continue to serve the Third Reich. The young and able-bodied will proceed to the right to be assigned work details. The old and the sick will go to the left for treatment. And the dad hugs his wife and yells, "No, a moment, please, in the name of God." "How, Abraham? How can they take our children from us? Haven't they taken enough already?" "Gods, if these Jordan do not obey quickly, kill them. We have no time to waste here. They are quotas to be filled." Horrified, I could only watch as they very methodically beat my father to death. And Mamma. It was a blessing when she too finally died. At least in her own way, she had escaped them. I never saw my brothers or sisters again. For me, days became weeks, weeks became months, and the months dragged slowly, one after another, like the dirty freight cars that had brought me to that hellhole. Then, in the spring of 45, I began to hear rumors that the Allies had invaded Germany. Hitler's war machine was grinding to a halt, as our camp commandant knew too well. "Der Führer is a madman, Sergeant, but he will not drag all of us down with him. I want every record of our activities destroyed, and I want no witnesses left to spread vicious lies concerning our treatment of them." "As you wish, Colonel Steiger. But surely the world will see that we are blameless in all of this. We were merely following orders and nothing more." "God, those guns, Anna. What are they doing? What does this mean?" And we see a very, very emaciated prisoners in this camp, including Anna, and two Nazi soldiers put together a Gatling gun and ready to fire on them. It would be like swatting cattle, Franz. They are less than that, my friend. An American named Patton was only a few miles away, but for us, it might as well have been half a world or more. He would never reach us in time. And they start firing on the prisoners. But another man would. Was? And one of the soldiers turns and looks outside the barbed wire, and he sees a man on a motorcycle coming this way, and it has kicking up a lot of dirt from the dirt road. A man whose name he had only heard in whispered legends. Garten Hill! It is him! Captain America! And Cap busts through the fence, breaking the posts and ripping the wire on his motorcycle and hitting down soldiers. And what's really cool is Captain America is in done in the font of his logo.
Such a great panel, Rick, right?
Yes. Next page, and this is a over half a page splash. We see Cap diving off of his motorcycle, kicking and punching and hitting with his shield all these German soldiers. And although I did not understand English, the meaning of his words did not escape me. Murderers! These people will be free! Nor did the Nazis escape his wrath. And then, before I knew what was happening, Colonel Steiger was grabbed me roughly from behind, and he holds his Luger up to the temple of Anna. Enough, American! Surrender now, or the girl dies! And Cap throws his shield. The answer is no, Nazi, to both choices. And he hits it off a post,
Spling!
and it ricochets and hits the gun out of his hand. Nine! It is not possible! Is this the big Nazi Superman then? Well, mister, I'll never rest until your kind are driven from the face of the earth. And he goes and he punches him. And he puts his hands around Anna. Easy, little lady. Your war is over. Yes, some of us had survived Hitler's Holocaust, but more than 6 million other Jews, my family included, had not. And I doubt if anyone had escaped unscathed. And the soldiers show up. My God, Cap, look at them. Just look at them. How could something like this have happened? And we turn the page, and we're back in present time, where the three of them are sitting around a table. And I never saw him again, but I'll never forget him. Eventually, I managed to put the war behind me. I married, and oh my, look at the time. You boys must be starved. Come. And later, after dinner, as Steve walks out, thank you for listening to an old woman, Steve. It helps to remember to talk sometimes. I understand, Anna. Some things must never be forgotten. Shortly in Steve's studio apartment, he's looking out the window. She's so right. It does help. We all carry scars of one sort or another. Just because they aren't visible doesn't make them any less real. Maybe someday when the hurt stops, I'll be able to talk about Sharon. I wasn't able to save her or Bucky. And that doesn't mean I should stop trying. As long as the nation, the people, need me, I have to keep on. And so, finally, sleep overtakes a weary Steve Rogers. and a weary New York. But not, unfortunately, for long. Hmm. Hello? Rogers. You know, you could be a hard guy to find. Fury? Right the first time. Look, I know this is probably a bad time to ask, but I need your help. Is that so? Well, in case you've forgotten, Colonel, your Lieutenant Stanford said I was a security hazard. When did that happen, Bob?
That was back in issue 231, Rick.
And Cap's awake now. He's sitting on the side of his bed. He's alert and a little upset. But now I suppose S.H.I.E.L.D. has its tail caught in the ringer again, and you want Captain America to bail you out. Is that it? I'm supposed to drop what I'm doing with my life and come running, eh? Well, let me tell you. Okay, hold it right there. I heard about the security hassle, and Stanford got a chewing out he'll never forget. You want to hold a grudge? Fine. But this is more than just S.H.I.E.L.D., soldier. This is duty calling. That's dirty pull, Nick. Maybe so, but you're one of the few people I could talk to right now. How about it? I. All right. When do you need me? 7 o'clock. My office. And, Steve, thanks. And so Steve Rogers' career gets shoved into the back burner again. Oh well. No one ever said that leading a double life would be easy. But once this little job for Fury is done, then Steve Rogers is really going to start to live. I swear it. The end.
All right. All right. Love this story.
Yeah, what did you love about it, Bob?
It's just got a lot of layers to it, right? Right, Rick. It's about memory. It's about duty. It's about recognizing that we all carry the scars of our past with us, but we still got to keep moving forward. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it helps to talk to people when we're carrying that burden. So, I mean, there's a lot of layers here. I think that are as salient today as they were back in 1979, as they were back in 1945 or whatever, right? So I think it's a good kind of writing because it's got some adventure, but it's got some great messages as well.
I couldn't agree more. This was a not an easy issue to read for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I felt Steve's sadness when he saw Sharon appear to die, and um, that page. There was a lot of silent panels, right?
Right? No,
There.
yeah,
I mean, one, two, three, four, five, six. There are six panels there with no words, and the emotion was felt,
right,
and
yeah,
so I felt it there. And then even worse was Anna's story, and I say worse because that wasn't fiction, right?
yeah.
And
Dieberwald's not real, but the others certainly were.
right, I mean, it was based on a true story,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and tragically and horrifically, and that hit me hard
Mm-hmm.
reading that, you know. Um, and kudos to Chris Claremont and Roger McKenzie for tackling this story, because I do think this was the first time in Marvel that they went this deep, this detailed about the Holocaust.
Well, it's the first time that they mentioned the Holocaust outside of Atlas or Timely Comics, for sure.
You're absolutely right, and just it's
I mean, if you think about Rick, we just mentioned this 34 years, right? So we're now a couple generations past,
a generation and a
a
half, right?
generation and a half really past
Yeah.
that, right? And so that memory's starting to fade. So you can imagine this impact this would have had, it having been such recent history, and yet that memory had been faded a little bit. So
I guess I don't know how much it faded for the people who had family members there.
No, no, but I meant for young people, teens who are reading these comics.
Well, it
Yeah.
didn't fade at all. They probably didn't even know about it.
Well, that yeah,
You
that's
know what
what
I
I'm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
this was an introduction, I think, for a lot of kids,
Mm-hmm.
into that subject matter. Maybe in school, it was mentioned and they spent a half a day on it, if or something. I have no idea what the curriculum was like that back in 1979, but at least I don't remember it from
I
when
don't
I was in
remember.
school in
I certainly
1979.
don't. Yeah.
But a story like this would have a big impact,
Yeah.
because there's the visuals and um, I don't know. It was a tough
Mm-hmm.
story for me for a lot of reasons. And then, the other part was Steve just being, questioning whether or not the country still needs him,
Mm-hmm.
because, the reporter, point blank asked him and he just didn't know. And so I agree with you. I think it was a really good story. I think it was a great pick by you, even though it was World War II. And you have to you have to give me a little break now, Bob. All right, a little break from the World War II
All right.
stories.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All
Well, do you
right.
have a favorite panel, Rick?
Well, you go first.
Oh, I get to go first.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So you're gonna probably steal mine. So go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to steal yours, Rick. So let me see here. I I like the panel. So again, I'm working off a digital copy, so no page numbers, but it's around the bottom of page 4. It's when the guard turns and he sees Captain America off in the distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that panel where he says "Boss." It's the one, the bottom left panel, where it says a man whose name we had heard only in whispered legends, and the German guard turns, the SS guard turns toward the
Mm-hmm.
reader and says, Gott in Himmel, it's him. I
Mm-hmm.
love that panel
Mm-hmm.
because it I'm a Golden Age fan and it has that feel, but it's modern,
Mm-hmm.
and you just like the cavalry's coming, buddy.
I really do agree with you. I like that panel. You know what's really cool about it was you see him in the distance, right? And then you see him coming. So it wasn't like all of a sudden out of nowhere, right? So it built a little bit of suspense there. So yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a great panel. But what's your favorite panel, Rick?
Oh, I struggled on this one because there's a few I liked.
There's a lot of good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with page 6. I don't know. It's one of those three on the bottom of page 6 where
Oh
he's got
yeah.
his hand, his head in his hand,
Yeah.
and he's kind of zooming out. Um, so if I have to pick one, I'll go with the last one because I like how his shield's kind of like half shaded and the room's just dark and it's just the light from the screen which he can no longer bear to look at.
Yeah. It's a really those that set of three panels is really well done because it's 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 basically, I mean, it's not a
Cinema.
garish, it's yeah, you're right, it's not it's not like a tough coloring job, but the way the inks are done, and it's just very simplistic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the fact that the only light in the room and again there he's in a van, right?
Hmm.
The only light in the whole place is the screen in front of him which he can no longer bear to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really impactful.
Great selection. Yeah, I toyed with those just because it's such an emotive rendering.
Mm-hmm.
How about a T-shirt?
Oh
Probably
well.
don't want that one on a T-shirt, but
I'm gonna have to go with page 23, and it's the
mm-mm.
the panel right next to the one you picked for favorite panel, the one that has Captain America logo,
Mm.
and the motorcycle is busting through, and it says Captain America. Like That's a T-shirt, dude, right there,
Yeah.
right? Because he's got
Right.
the Captain America logo, and then you've got Cap doing this really cool act on his motorcycle.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. Beautiful.
How about you?
Well, 2 pages later, Rick, that page with panel rated smack dab in the middle where Cap has just punched the camp commander in the face. And he says, "Well, mister, I'll never rest until your kind are driven from the face of the earth." I
Mm-hmm.
would love that right across my chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. It was on my list. And what's your time capsule?
Well, Rick, I'm going with the whole Holocaust thing, right? I believe it or not, I dug a little bit into this because I was
Mm-hmm.
interested. Like, when was not just the Holocaust mentioned? Because it had been mentioned in Battlefield, I think, number 6, and mystery comics back in the 40s. But I was surprised to learn that it hadn't really been delved into in any Marvel comics in the 60s and 70s until we got to this issue. And then after this, it began to become more prominent, particularly in X-Men comics.
Mm-hmm.
But this was it, man. This was like the first, like, all right, we gotta teach the young kids that
Mm-hmm.
may not have been around what happened just a short time ago. And so I think it's an important marker.
Yeah, I agree. 100% for all the reasons I talked about before.
Yeah. And how about yourself? What's going in your time capsule?
I'm gonna have to go with the death of Sharon Carter.
The death of Sharon Carter, the confirmation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
just because it had a huge impact on Steve's life,
Mm-hmm.
and
And his love life.
yeah, but he yeah, I mean this was big. This was big in Steve Rogers because she had been around for a while, and it wasn't until 16 years later that Mark Wade brought her back in Captain America 444. So that's over 200 issues have go by, and then she's brought back, and then she ends up being the love of his life.
Yeah.
At least for the last 30 years.
And a very different character.
100%. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot more fleshed out and
Mhm.
three dimensional
Yeah.
and so on. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going in my time capsule.
Yeah. Excellent choice.
Why? Thank you. I, you know what? You're really smart.
I like to be valid. I like to be a validator, Rick.
Yeah, yeah. I'll keep you around another episode or two.
I've told you about my wife's aunt, right? How she like validates everything that I post. She validates
Oh
everything
yes.
that anybody posts. In
Is this
fact, for a
Pam? Is
while,
this Pam Miller?
yeah, for a while, I think she was in the Facebook group, right?
Yeah.
But like, I see her also on other social media channels, and I'm like, oh, somebody liked my posts. Like, nobody ever likes my posts. I never know. And I'm like, oh, it's Pam.
Yeah.
It's Aunt
Yeah.
Pam. She
Or
liked it.
me.
How are you?
Yeah.
So I crave that validation. So
Yeah. Well, she seems like a lovely lady.
she is. She
Yeah.
is.
She even likes my stuff.
Oh, there you go.
When I
So
when I post something and I tag you,
yeah,
she always loves it.
you're in
Yeah.
the validation circle, the
Yeah.
circle of validation.
That's cool. All right. Well, Bob, next episode, if everything goes well, we'll have a guest on the show. And so more to come on that. We're still trying to work out the details, but it'll be something fun. It'll be
Yeah,
something fun for
it's
next
always
episode.
something fun.
Yeah. And then come back in 3 weeks because, Bob, you mentioned it before the Captain America comic book fantasy draft. We are doing fantasy draft number 5. And that'll be episode 258. So that'll be in 3 weeks. So you better start prepping, my friend.
Oh my gosh, that's right around the corner. And Katie Burns, I've already used her. So
Yeah. You're going to have to start thinking of some characters, some
yeah,
stories, some plot lines.
all right.
Yeah, maybe another Fury file.
Maybe another Fury file. You never know.
Well, that's been a fun episode. So, if you don't mind, please rate, review, or subscribe wherever you listen. And there is a link in our show notes, by the way, that provides you like 10 easy, fun, and free ways that you can do to promote the show. So, hey, if you got a few minutes, check that out because that would really help us out. We really do appreciate it. But the easiest thing you can do right now is wherever you're listening, just give us a thumbs up, just give us a like, and we love your comments. So keep those coming. And also, if you have a question for the show, you can always email us at capcomicfans@gmail.com.
We haven't had a question for a while, Rick.
I know.
Right?
I think we've been talking so much in the Facebook group
Mm-hmm.
that everybody kind of gets everything answered there. But
Oh, it's a good point.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's always there for people to reach out to us. And so, anyway, we appreciate you listening. And he's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis. And you have been listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.